Let's start with this environment right now, which last time you were with us, we talked about the low rate environment, how it's pushing a lot of people into different assets. But what has it meant, do you think, in terms of the viewpoints on cryptocurrencies?
So listen, crypto, like any of the other speculative assets, has benefited immensely from a perception of zero interest rates forever and central banks just jamming liquidity in like they're trying to feed a foie gras duck. You're jamming the food into the duck, and so we've seen a nice move in the Bitcoin price. We've seen a stellar move in the Ethereum price. That's based around this burgeoning new space in crypto called decentralized finance. And what you're seeing in DeFi, which is really interesting, is really reminiscent of what you're seeing in Tesla. Just a speculative frenzy. There are new projects that are doing really cool things, but they're getting such a surge of liquidity so fast. It's changing at a speed I've never seen in markets. There was a new project called Sushi that was only launched 5 days ago, and it's over $1.5 billion market cap in 5 days. And so that worries me some. While it's early in DeFi, to see speculative frenzy like that. I mean, I think about Tesla today, right? Tesla's a stock that's up 600% on the year, that's trading at over 1,000 times earnings, was up 13% yesterday after being up 70% because of a split. And they announced they're going to sell $5 billion worth of stock, and the market wants to trade up. That's the power of this frenzy we're in right now. It's irrational exuberance. You can call it what you will. I'm a little worried that we're going to have a big correction in a lot of risk assets soon. I don't think it's a correction that lasts for that long because the liquidity machine's not being turned off. But I think we're going to go through a series of these bubbles, and it feels close to being at peak bubble right now.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in what you said there, Mike. Let me start just with the digital asset part of things, because a lot of people are just starting to get their head around Bitcoin, even though there's been a very long dialogue taking place on that cryptocurrency for many years. But you alluded to the fact that you're seeing a lot of digital coins very quickly created and well received in the market. In fact, our partners at Bloomberg just put out a story about hundreds of coins being created, and they referenced a few others like pork chop and spaghetti and whale. It sounds like you say that caution's the key word with some of these new coins. What's your ultimate takeaway for investors on these new names, these new coins that are coming to market?
Do your work. Have fun, be careful. Listen, I lived through and profited through the 2017 crypto bubble, and this feels somewhat reminiscent to it. It was the ICOs back then, a new ICO every day, and the herd would swim to that ICO and jam the price up, and there'd be a frenzy of liquidity and price, and then it would collapse and they'd move on to the next thing. And it feels a little bit like that. I think DeFi is going to be around longer. I think that you are building infrastructure. Compound might exist in 20 years, and we might trade interest rates, not at JP Morgan, but on Compound or on some decentralized baby. But this is still, we're a sandbox right now, and it's a sandbox that's getting liquidity like it's an adult industry. And so it's be very careful. What's interesting is the new Bitcoin buyer is an institutional buyer. It's a high net worth buyer. They're coming in methodically and slowly, and they're not stopping. And so that's keeping the Bitcoin price up. A lot of the traditional crypto people, right, are selling their Bitcoin, buying the sexier objects. And so in this move of this kind of mania, which we're seeing in decentralized finance, it's pushing Ethereum price up because it's built on the Ethereum network and other protocols. It's probably putting a little weight on Bitcoin, which tells you how powerful Bitcoin is, that even with that selling pressure, it's still going up based on the macro story.
It's all helpful context, Mike. I think it's also, since you mentioned Tesla, it's worth talking about. The skeptic would say, look, this is crazy, all this money flooding into Tesla. Others would say Tesla, because of the company and Elon Musk and the pop culture phenomenon around him, has actually introduced a lot of new investors to the stock market. What about in the cryptocurrency world, where you've got increasing players? I mean, even here in Canada, you've got players like Wealthsimple, which have allowed for more crypto trading within portfolios. You've got publicly traded businesses like yours, Galaxy Digital, which is sort of essentially a way by which investors to have some direct or indirect exposure to what's going on here. Are those who sort of dismiss the cryptocurrency story missing what some have really been embracing?
Listen, cryptocurrency is here for good. And so I couldn't say that in 2017, 2018. That sentence comes with an exclamation point starting this year, right? We crossed the Rubicon. Bitcoin is not going away. The Ethereum project is not going away. It's got critical mass, and you're going to continue to see innovation after innovation. I would still tell you that while Bitcoin is a finished product as a store of value, as a digital gold, the rest of crypto you need to put into the broad venture bucket. It's still a sandbox. There are experimentation, there's spectacularly cool innovations happening, but we're really, really early. I love all the new access points. I love all the new participants, people understanding how it works. And I am positive in 10 years, the ecosystem around cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the whole space, blockchains, is going to be multiple times bigger than it is today. And so that's a big deal, and that's why I think this will be one of the most important years in the space. It still doesn't mean that from time to time, the speculative frenzies get carried away. I own 2 Teslas. I think it's one of the best auto companies in the world. I think it's going to be around for a long, long time, and I think Elon's a genius. It doesn't warrant a $500 billion market cap trading at 1,300 times earnings. It just doesn't. And we will look back at this episode in Tesla in the textbooks of one that goes up with tulips and 1999, the tech bubble. This is a Tesla bubble. Is it going to pop today, tomorrow, the next day? I don't know. It's going to pop soon because there are just too many markings of what a top looks like. And so, I'm trying to stay as optimistic and bullish as I can on crypto because it's really early in the cycle, but give the warning that, there are other things in the markets that have me worried.
Mike, we only have about a minute left, but since you talked about digital gold, a lot of our audience this year has been looking to gold, especially given the macro environment around the world. Now, last time you were with us, you weighed in on gold versus Bitcoin, but in our last 30 seconds here, what would you say about your outlook for gold?
I still love gold. If I'm a longer term holder, I think it's going much higher. In the short run, we're at this 2000 mark. The dollar, euro's at 120 today. You could see a pause. If risk assets correct, which I think they will, all of this stuff is going to come down a little bit. But the main story is not going away. The basement of fiat currency is going to drive the price of gold higher. So I'm not selling my gold. I don't trade it as actively as I trade other things. I think gold is going to be $3,000, 12 months from now, or $2,800, or significantly higher.